Beautifulness is my baby. No, I'm gonna get a lot of hate. Please don't cancel me. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be doing a tag. This is the new makeup releases, the tag. I think this was started by Samantha March and Angelica Nievequist. I'm going to be answering some questions about all the new makeup releases from 2021 and just kind of telling you which ones lived up to the hype, didn't live up to the hype. I'm going to be talking about indie brands, drugstore brands, actually no drugstore brands to be honest, high-end brands, luxury brands. Most of these are eyeshadow palettes I'm going to be talking about, but it's not all eyeshadow palettes. Let's just say that. So if you're new here, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. I do a ton of videos just like this. I'm also currently doing Vlogmas, so a new video every single day. And let's get into it. Okay, so the first question is, what mainstream release lived up to the hype the most this year? I have 4 responses for this one. I'm gonna go in order of when they were released. I'm not ranking them this time. I will be ranking all of my eyeshadow palettes at the beginning of next year because I need some time for that video. I don't even know how I'm gonna get that video done. The first one that released was the Natasha Denona Circle Loco palette. To me, this was super hyped because this was teased for a really long time before it was actually announced. To me, this lives up to the hype because I am a colorful person. I love colorful eyeshadow. I love this. It's not well represented today. The formula in here is great. The only thing about this is I wish she made this the midi sized because not a lot of people are going to be using these crazy colors and they're not me. They're not me. I'm a little crazy, I know. So they're not gonna be using these crazy bold eyeshadows up. So to make this the full size is so unwise in my opinion. It's also limited edition, but I think that's why she made it the full size. I believe she came out saying like, oh, this is limited edition, so I wanted to make it the full size. Anyway, the color story in here is amazing. The formula is superb. I absolutely love this palette. I have used this palette probably the most this year, so definitely one of my top palettes of the year. It lived up to the hype for me. Everyone was really excited to see a colorful eyeshadow palette from Natasha Denona, so really glad for that. Next, and this is gonna be a little bit of a shocker for some people, the ABH Norvina Volume 5. I don't know, a lot of people just are kind of tired of ABH, and I kind of get it. Like, they kind of were a little bit of a snooze fest this year, I'm not gonna lie, and that's one of the questions, but I didn't answer with ABH. To me, they are a little bit like kind of slacking ever since last year when they had their whole scandal with like trying to get influencers to like get their attention. It was really annoying. So I kind of fell for that, but it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Anyway, I love the formula of the Norvina palettes, these bigger ones. I think that they're much better than the like soft glam, the modern renaissance. Even though those are great, those are fine, I really like the formula of this one. It's really nice. I love the color story. I'm a huge purple person. I love purple eyeshadow, and I think you can create a ton of looks with this palette. Like, you can go really bold, you can go really neutral, you can go colorful. It's a very cool tone neutral palette with some pops of purple you could do as well. I just love this palette. It is annoying because it's bigger, but the formula in here is so good. They're pressed pigments, so they're a little different than eyeshadows, but they're still amazing nonetheless. And another one that was super hyped, of course, was the new Mothership palette from Pat McGrath. This is the Pat McGrath Utopian Dream. Why is this so dirty? Oh my goodness. Anything Pat McGrath is super hyped, in my opinion. I've used the crap out of this palette. It is one of my favorite palettes for sure. This was super hyped, and it definitely lived up to the hype for me. The formula is amazing. The Blitz Astral shades are stunning. This duochrome beautifulness is my baby. So is this one super pretty. Some people were let down by this when they saw the color story. They're like, this is not really like, she kept advertising like rainbows, and I was like, shoot, like a really bright color story would be so amazing from Pat McGrath. But this, when I first saw it, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was a little disappointed, but when I got it, I was like, you know what, this is so pretty, and you can do so much with this palette. You can go in so many different directions, so she did not disappoint, that is for sure. The last one, it got a lot of hype. It's not an eyeshadow palette, it's the Patrick Ta blush palette. This lived up to the hype for sure. This is such a stunning formula. I love his little innovativeness with the cream blushes and then the powder blushes. He just does cheek products so well. His bronzer duo is the same situation, and I love it as well. I think that this is very innovative, and I think he should release more of these, like with different shade options. And these are all brand new shades within his collection. I got this one a little dirty. I gotta clean it. It really did not disappoint. A lot of people were into it. It kept selling out, and for a good reason. This was such a good release, so definitely worth the hype. The next question is, what indie release lived up to the hype the most this year? And I think the most hyped indie release was the Glamlight Michaela palette. This palette is so gorgeous. This was actually my first time trying Glamlight eyeshadows. Zero regrets. I was supposed to have a 3 looks 1 palette with this palette, and some of my footage got lost, so I couldn't end up doing it, which was so annoying. But I love this palette because you can create so many neutral looks. You can also create neutrals with a pop of color. You can create colorful looks. So many different color options. The formula in here is really good. The metallics are intense and gorgeous and pigmented and beautiful. Pretty much every shimmer shade you see in here is an intense metallic, which is amazing because a lot of times in palettes you see like kind of an inconsistency within the metallics, especially that's what I've noticed lately, but it's not the case here. The mattes are gorgeous as well. They blend with ease and the formula is really good. It definitely lives up to the hype, and I think that was the most hyped indie release. She is very, you know, well known. Then we have the Alien Cosmetics Witching Hour palette. I'm not sure that this was hyped as much, but to be honest, this was hyped by me. I waited a long time for this palette. It was announced at the beginning of October or even the end of September, I'm not sure. This is the first ever Alien Cosmetics. Oh, by the way, they rebranded to Unearthly Cosmetics. To me, I hyped it up because this was the first palette that I ever got from Alien Cosmetics, and I was like, I was really excited to try it. What impresses me the most about this palette, well, first of all, the pan sizes are huge. I love that you can take them out. I really like the mattes in this palette. I think that they perform so well, like better than my higher end. So really, really happy with the mattes. The shimmers are okay. I'm getting a little bit of hard pan here, which is annoying. I kind of had to scrape to get the pigment on that one, and it's just kind of like a little bit of a lackluster shimmer. I really like the dual chromes in these two shades over here. It's got like a bit of a pretty shift, but again, the shimmers are just, they're not my favorite in this palette. What I love about this palette again is the mattes. I think they're very, very good. So for me, I was hyped about it because I hadn't tried an Alien Cosmetics palette, and it just really, like, I was hyped for it because of that. And then the last one is newer. This is the Melt Amor y Mariposas collection. I feel like this did get quite a bit of hype. This was the first bigger Melt palette, and to be honest, this lived up to the hype. I almost did not buy this. But I went to Sephora in Puerto Rico and I saw it there. And I was like, I gotta have it. You gotta know by now that I love this palette. It's definitely gonna be in my top 10 of the year because it is so pretty. The formula in here is unmatched. The metallics are so intense and buttery and smooth and like gorgeous. And you can create so many looks with this palette. I love it. The color story is totally my vibes, and the packaging, the artwork, the thought that went behind this entire collection, unmatched. Super pretty. The next question is, what makeup releases did not live up to the hype? I always hate speaking negative, but like, we gotta do it. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate. It is what it is. I did not like these. This is from Huda Beauty, the Wild Obsessions palettes. Listen, I'm a pro makeup artist. I do makeup on other people. I'm pretty skilled. I do makeup on myself, and these did not work for me. My favorite one out of all of them is the Python. I love the color story. The mattes are what's hard in here. First of all, it's hard to get a cohesive look in this palette with the mattes. I really want like a deeper blue. The mattes are really patchy. This was the palette that gave me the least trouble though, because I didn't have enough depth with the blue to like create like a crazy look. I also did enjoy the Tiger palette a little bit more until the shade shattered all over my floor. So annoying. It came shattered and I repressed it, and I did a horrible job because it went all over my floor anyway, so it was so annoying. But they did actually refund me my money, so I got my money back. I love the center shades in all the palettes, honestly. Beautiful dual chromes, very good formula. The metallics are not the issue in these palettes. I think they're very good. I'm just not a fan in general of these smaller Obsession palettes from Huda. They're made in China. They're not made with that good quality that her big palettes are made, that are made in Italy, because they have better ingredients, I'm sure. They're just formulated better. The mattes in here are what's the issue. I just had a hard time. This was my least favorite, the Chameleon palette. I just had some issues with the deeper shades. They got patchy. It was really hard, but I do like the Jaguar palette, and in the sense that it's like a really fun color story. I wish I enjoyed it a little bit more. Like the mattes, I wish they weren't as patchy. But my least favorite again was the Chameleon. The Jaguar was okay, Tiger was okay, and Python was probably my favorite because I don't really use it to go deep in looks. But these, I was just disappointed. I was disappointed in them, and everyone was so hyped for them, and it just was not, it wasn't for me. Next I have the Kylie Cosmetics 24 karat collection. So this is the first eyeshadow palette she came out with when she rebranded, and this was $65. So it's the price of a Huda Beauty palette, for example. Did not live up to the hype whatsoever. The mattes. They're like soft mattes. They're like not the best quality in my opinion. I have much better mattes. They're very pigmented. When you start blending them, they like almost blend out into nothing. Honestly, after using this palette, I was like, I'm not gonna buy anything from Kylie Cosmetics for a while because I just, unless it like really calls out to me, it just really disappointed me. The metallics are okay. They're just okay. There's a lot of inconsistencies with this and within this palette as well. As in, like, some of them are labeled as metallics, but they're not as intense as like other ones. Also, I hated the packaging. It's a picture of her. Like, who cares? I'm sorry. I want this for the makeup, not for a picture of you. And I was hyped because I was like, I did like her original eyeshadow formula, but this just wasn't it. It wasn't my favorite. And it really disappointed me quite a bit. Okay. Hear me out, please. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this one too. To me, the Natasha Denona Retro palette did not live up to the hype. Here's why. I like a crazy intense metallic, and none of these gave that to me whatsoever. And I just expect more from Natasha Denona quality. So I know what I was expecting, and honestly, it did not give it to me. This is more for the average everyday person that's not looking to do some crazy intense eye looks. This is not Pat McGrath Blitz Astral quality for sure, but that's the formula that I like. Pat McGrath makes my favorite eyeshadows. The mattes in here are okay. They're great. Like, I like the cream to powder formula, and I do like Natasha Denona formula. Usually the shimmers do not disappoint me the way this palette did. Not only that, but we were all expecting the retro palette to be a little bit different. So I'm curious to see what she's going to come out with next year, because she did say she was going to do an add-on to this. I hope I like that one more, because this one, yes, it's catered more to the everyday person for everyday makeup looks, and it does a great job with that. The formula in here is fine for that, but it's not my favorite at all, because I like something that's a little bit more intense. So don't hate me, but this was definitely something that did not live up to the hype for me. The next question is, what was the biggest curveball? To me, the biggest curveball of the year was Tati coming back to YouTube, and the fact that she shut down Tati Beauty recently. Really sad. So she did talk about her litigation that was going on in her personal life with her brands. I really thought she was talking about Halo Beauty the entire time. I must have misunderstood her, because nowhere in there did I think that she would shut down Tati Beauty. Really makes me so sad, because I was really looking forward to see what she would come up with next for Tati Beauty. I love the Texture Neutrals palette. I was really excited to see the direction she would go in. I don't want to see her fail at all, but of the two brands, like, Halo Beauty, you know, could be gone, and I wouldn't lose sleep over it, honestly. The next curveball for me was how in love I became with luxury makeup. So I started this year with one Pat McGrath palette, actually two. My hubby bought me one for Christmas 2020. So sweet. Like, on Christmas morning, we hadn't really gotten each other Christmas presents. I don't know what happened, but we just didn't. So Christmas morning, we just like woke up. He was like, okay, open your Sephora app. I'm gonna pick some things, and then you're gonna order them, because that way you can get the free shipping and you can get whatever. You can approve it before we order, because I don't want to order things that you already own. He put a Pat McGrath palette in my cart, and I was like, okay, I've never tried Pat McGrath, I'll do it. He put Divine Rose, the original, which to this day is probably my favorite Pat McGrath palette, only because of that little moment. It's not only because of it, it's a great color story, it's a great everyday palette, I love it. Ever since then, I blame it on him. I have bought every single Mothership palette. I also bought the Celestial Divinity palette, and then the Celestial Odyssey palette, which I'm actually going to be talking about in a second. So I became in love with Pat McGrath ever since then, and then became my obsession with Natasha Denona. I've bought pretty much every single Natasha Denona palette this year as well. I've also purchased quite a few just luxury items, foundations, highlighters. My Dior Powder No Powder is definitely one of my favorites. I have really been on a luxury makeup kick. It surprised me, because I've never been a drugstore girl really per se, but I've been like a high-end, like I've been a mid-tier. Like, I shopped at Sephora a lot, but I went for like Tarte, Too Faced, so I never really thought I would actually be into luxury makeup. So I'm really shocked at that. That was a huge curveball in my life. Some money was spent this year, that's for sure. And then the last curveball for me was how much I'm enjoying neutral palettes this year as well. I have one right here that I wanted to talk about, and I was gonna put this in the what mainstream release lived up to the hype. I wanted to buy this because this is the first Too Faced palette I've bought in years. I want to say the last palette I owned like this was the Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar, so a long time ago. And I was like, you know what, let's see what the hype is about. I really like the formula of this palette. I love the color story. It's very neutral, which is weird for me. It's the palette on my eyeballs today. I didn't do a tutorial on it, but if you want, I could do one. It's really easy. Like I use 3 colors, to be honest. I thought that this was such a great palette. I also recently bought the Jaclyn Hill Morphe, the newest one, the Divine Neutrals palette. I love it. It's so great. My go-to neutral palette, and the formula is really great, but I'm just so shocked at myself that I like neutrals lately. I've been buying neutral palettes. I've actually been eyeing the new Artist Couture mini palette that he's like gonna release. Why do I want so many neutral palettes? It's weird. I don't really go for neutrals. I like colorful looks, but that's also just like another curveball that's happened this year. The next question is, what was the biggest letdown and snooze fest this year? The first one that comes to mind is the Urban Decay and Prince collection. They could have done so much more with this, packaging wise, color story wise. This is a really boring color story, guys. Like, it's just purple and blue. Like, you could have done so much more with this. The packaging is really cute, like honestly it is, but I don't know, I feel like they could have done more, put more thought into it. I know that they did work on this with his estate, so I'm not really sure who in his estate or like what. I don't know. I like that it comes with a mirror. But anyway, the formula in here is what's not the best. The metallics are really like crumbly and not in a good way. I like a good crumbly metallic, but this isn't it. And the mattes are what's the worst about this. They're really chalky. They're too soft. They're almost too soft. They're the opposite of dry, which we don't like dry mattes either, but this is like bad. And overall, kind of inconsistent, like formula wise within the palette itself. Like some of the shimmers are nice. Like this shimmer's like okay. I mean, it's crumbly and not in a good way, but like that's pretty intense and you can make it work. But this cranberry shade over here, or raspberry sorbet, whatever, it is super lackluster. Like not even you have to like really dig in there for any pigment to come out, so not that great. This is the other palette. I'm not even sure what they're called. They were pretty much put on discount like right away. They were kind enough to send this over to me, so I really feel bad speaking ill of them. I hate this formula right here. It is the matte with the glitter in it. It's horrible. Ugh, where do you put this? Like, you can put it on the lid, sure, but I want to put something sparkly on my lid that's actual like metallic. I don't know, they could have done so much more with this color story wise. They didn't need another purple in here. They have a whole other purple dedicated palette. The picture of his eye is like weird. Honestly, I'm keeping this purely for the packaging, like the fact that it's like Prince and the fact that they sent it over to me. And Urban Decay is always so nice to me, but I do have to be honest with my reviews, and I can't just say I like something just because a brand sends it to me. I was really excited to receive it. I was like, I'm gonna review this. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And once I actually like sat down and played with it, I was like meh, so disappointed. I actually do prefer their newer collection, their newer collaboration, which is the Eternals collection, which they also sent over to me, by the way. Urban Decay is just so nice to me, so I have to give them that. But this just was not my favorite collection from them. I have another Natasha Denona to talk about. Please don't cancel me. The Glam Face and Eye palette, Eye and Face palette, whatever the heck it's called. I don't own it because I didn't buy it. To me, it was kind of a snooze fest. It was kind of a letdown. I only see one convenience, and that's travel. To have all your products in one little palette, like your eye products, your blush, your highlight, like it's all right there. That's convenient, but I have all of those eyeshadows already within even my Natasha Denona collection. So I was like really expecting something a little bit better. I do like that there's a light and dark option. I almost bought it. I went into Sephora, I swatched it. I was like, oh, this is so pretty, but meh, I just didn't really want it. The last letdown snooze fest is REM Beauty, Ariana Grande's line. I almost did buy some stuff from that line, but I was like, this is so boring. The palette looks so, I think there's multiple palettes. They just look so boring, and I'm really sad because I was like really looking forward to something. Like even the packaging kind of looks cheap. The pictures don't look like it's good quality. It just to me was a bit of a letdown. The next question is, what is the best holiday release this year? To me, of course, you know I'm gonna say Pat McGrath Celestial Odyssey. I love Pat McGrath quality. This is actually not like made in Italy like her mothership palettes, but it's made in the US, but it's still really great quality, and I love the colors in here. I think you can create a lot of fun looks with this. I actually have to pull this out and play with it a little bit more. It's been a long time since I've used it. So I love the mattes. I think that she could add maybe one more matte in here and I would be really happy. I actually prefer Celestial Divinity from last year over Celestial Odyssey. This is really similar to the shade in the Mothership palette, so it's kind of redundant, but it could be like, oh, if I didn't get that palette, let me get this one. And it's a little cheaper too, and you get more shades and you get to experiment and have fun. The shimmers are still really, really pretty. Pat McGrath just knows how to do eyeshadow, you know? So it's definitely a favorite, and I think it was the best release for holiday for sure. So I am ranking this one for sure really high. I'm gonna have a really hard time in my ranking all the palettes I used in 2021. I have no idea how I'm gonna do that video. I'm like, oh, this is my favorite palette. No, this is my favorite palette. No, this is my favorite palette. It depends on my mood, you know? So the next holiday release, and this is more of a Halloween, I think, I guess, is the Lunar Beauty Moonspell palette. I think this is the Moonspell Volume 2, sorry. I think this is a fun palette. This is actually the first Lunar Beauty palette I've tried since Life's a Drag, the original. I did 3 looks with this palette as well. And I love the mattes in this palette. I think they're great. The shimmers are a little bit muted for me, but I mean, I can make them work. I love the color story. I love purples. I love reds. I think this was perfect for Halloween. Halloween is a holiday too. It's not like a traditionally, you know, celebrated holiday all over the world, but it's still a holiday, you know. It's a really fun palette, and I think it was a great release for that time, and I've gotten so much use out of it. I use it so often. You can create a ton of looks with this palette. I love the packaging. I love the whole vibes of Lunar Beauty, to be honest. So I love Manny so much. When I'm in a bad mood, I just put on one of his videos so I can laugh. He is so funny. He is the best. And then we have the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette, because this was released for holiday. I was really impressed with this palette. This is a really fun palette. The shimmers are so fun. These 2 shades right here are so fun. They look kind of similar when you swatch them, but they're not similar, I promise. My hands just full of swatches that you can't even really see what I'm doing, but I'm a hot mess in this video. Anyway, I really do love the color story of this palette as well. They're very similar to her other palettes. I know, repeatedly mauve, kind of similar color stories, but I like this shade over here too, because when you mix it with these pink and purples, the lighter mattes, it kind of comes across as purple. To me, what was missing in this palette was a deeper purple, but this actually just comes across a little bit as purple, so it's okay. It works really well. I think you can create a ton of looks with this palette. The formula in here is really good. Very great quality, sturdy packaging, amazing. This was in my November favorites. I absolutely love this palette. I think it was a great holiday release. Really good on Huda's part. The next question is, what was the best collab? I'm gonna start off with the first one, and honestly, I think this might be my favorite collab. This is the Kaleidos Club Nebula palette, the collab with Angelica Nyquist. Just love this palette. I love the formula. This shadow got a little stained with some body paint I was doing one day. I love the mattes. They're so buttery and smooth, and they blend out so amazing. They're so pigmented. Look at that. Oh, I don't have a place to swatch that. Hold up. Great mattes, fun color story, beautiful shimmers. This shimmer has to be my favorite. It's a beautiful duochrome. It's got a purplish shift. Very intense metallics. Love them. Love this one too. I love them all. Like, all the shimmers pretty much have like a reflect in it. Like, they're pretty much dual chromes. I love the color story. I think it's like, it's not something you typically see. Like, it's a very unique color story. The packaging is a little bulky, but I love the artwork. I love it. Next, we have the Lethal Cosmetics Teresa is Dead, Lethal is Dead palette. This is another one that I really enjoyed. The color story, the formula is great as well. The mattes, again, very gorgeous. This was my first Lethal palette. Actually, that was also my first Kaleidos palette, but very, very pretty. Gorgeous shimmers, very intense metallics, gorgeous mattes that blend with ease. Very similar vibes here, just realized that, my bad, but I really love the depth that you can get in this palette. I love the formula of it. I like how sleek it is. It does have a lot of kickback in the pans, as you can see, but that's okay. I love the vibes of this palette. So pretty, so fun. I really enjoyed this palette a lot. I do have a 3 looks 1 palette with this up on my channel if you're interested. The last best collab, I'm not ranking these by the way, but the Be Perfect Stacey Marie Carnival Antidote palette, literally one of my favorites for sure. I don't know. I love the Be Perfect formula. I think it's my favorite formula of eyeshadows ever. I don't know what it is about it. The mattes are kind of hard. It's not hard in a bad way. Like, I don't know. I like hard mattes. They are just really pigmented. I don't know. And then they blend out really well too. I really love the color story. I think it's perfect for fall, but I think you can get a lot of use out of this throughout the year. It's a very fun palette. I feel like you can create so many looks with it. The formula is so good. Great collaboration, of course. How many more collabs are they going to do? One we'll never know. We'll probably see one next year too. And the last question in this tag is, what are your predictions for releases during next year? I think we're going to see still a ton of tinted moisturizers. Brands that didn't get to release a tinted moisturizer during the tinted moisturizer craze of 2021, which was pretty much the entire year. I already know that we're going to see a Charlotte Tilbury one coming at the beginning of January, so that's coming for sure. So I still think we're going to get a lot of light coverage foundations. I think that we're still going to be seeing a lot of cream products be released, kind of multi-use products. For example, cream blushes, they can be used as lip balms as well. I think we're going to see a lot of multi-use products like the Bare Minerals bronzer, which I never got to try. It's like a blush bronzer situation. So a lot of multi-use products like that, multi-sticks, things like that. I think that that's what we're going to be seeing. I also think we're going to be seeing a lot more natural brow products. So more brow gels, tinted brow gels, or brow powders like the new Rare Beauty brow duo that recently launched. I think we're going to be seeing more releases like that as well. But okay, that completes this video. Let me know some of your answers to some of these questions. I would love to know. And yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps me out so much. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. Okay, so the first question, let me get the palette first. And I know that they did collab with, I know that they did, I do makeup artists and other people. What? And then the last thing, and then the last, like, pause, please.